Use case diagrams are used to show who will use a system and the different ways that they will use the system. So unlike data flow diagrams, we're not concerned about what data will flow through which processes. And unlike entity relationship diagrams, we're not interested in what entities will use the data. One other big factor with use case diagrams is that they are created from the point of view of the user, whereas data flow diagrams and entity relationship diagrams are created from the perspective of the company. And that has some great benefits, such as forcing you to focus on user-centric design, something which is extremely important when you're designing things like websites and online stores. So let's take a look at a use case diagram. You can see that the two main components of the diagram are the actor and the use case. Actors are the people who use the system, and the use case is what they use the system for. All use cases are then grouped together inside the system boundary, and together this represents everything that the system is capable of doing. So let's have a closer look at each element. The actor is represented by a stick figure, and it must be accompanied by the name of the actor. By the name of the actor, I mean the name of their role and not their individual name. So for example, things like customer, clerk would be good examples, while John Doe, Joe Bloggs, etc. are not good names for actors. Use cases are represented by ellipses, with the action that the actor will perform written inside of them. Actors and use cases are connected by relationship lines. One actor can have as many relationship lines as necessary, and so too can a use case have multiple relationship lines. An actor having multiple relationship lines just means that the actor can do multiple things with the system, while use cases with multiple relationship lines means that multiple actors can perform that action. You can also create duplicate actors with the same name if keeping your diagram tidy is becoming an issue. If you need to draw multiple different use cases, you would normally position them vertically in the middle of the page, with all of the actors on the sides of the page, and this allows you to draw a system boundary all the way around all of the use cases. The system boundary should be a rectangle and should have the name of the system in the top left corner, and every relationship line should cross the system boundary at some point. If you need to draw multiple actors, you just draw another actor near to the use case and connect it with a relationship line as usual. There's no real rules about positioning them, as long as the diagram is understandable. You can see from the diagram that we've been building up here that we have a representation of some things that a regular YouTube user can do, and also a YouTube member of staff. It's obviously possible for the YouTube member of staff to be able to do some things that the ordinary user can do, but the fact that they can't do everything that the viewer can do in itself means they need to be distinguished separately. There are obviously also things that the YouTube member of staff can do that the ordinary user can't do, like deleting user accounts. But the point here is that if there is any group of people who are able to do different things to other groups of people, they need to be separated into separate groups, and all of the individual use cases need to be identified uniquely. You can also take the concept of use cases further too. For example, you could describe specific subsystems within the main process. This allows you to get a more solid feel for exactly what the system boundaries are, especially if you're dealing with multiple complex systems. In this example, we've included the fact that the video's view counter will increase when someone follows the watch video process. You can include as many sub-processes as necessary too. It's just a matter of adding use case with an arrow pointing to it from the parent use case, and the word includes inside double chevrons. And this shows that the watch video process includes the subsystem to increase the view counter. It's also important to try to strike the right balance here as far as detail is concerned too, as that detail should really start to emerge as part of the use case description and activity diagrams we're going to look at in the later sections. Just a note here as well, some places will use the word uses instead of the word includes on the diagram. Both words are interchangeable. We also have a way to display optionality within our use case diagram too, through the extends keyword. This is done in a very similar manner to how we use the includes word. That is to say, we added an additional use case and draw arrows to the parent use case. But this time the arrows point at the parent, whereas the arrows pointed towards the child use case when we used the extends keyword. We also obviously replaced the includes keyword with the extends keyword on the diagram itself, but it must also be kept inside the double chevrons. Just as with the includes keyword, I would hesitate to put too much detail into your diagram with the extends keyword. The detail comes in later diagrams. The point of showing the fact that they are possible is just because separating the alternatives out can be useful in certain circumstances, but just because they're useful in some circumstances doesn't mean that it's going to be useful in every circumstance.